Let's jump into the post-spring offensive depth chart. Michigan has been out of spring practice for over a couple weeks now. And what did we learn from that spring practice? Has anything changed from the depth chart that we put out back in January after the season? We're going to tell you about what we know and what we think is going to happen once the Wolverines get on the field again in September. Before we do, let me know in the on-demand or the live chat, what was your favorite play from the 2022 season? We asked this question earlier in the live show as well, but want to make sure everyone watching this on demand shares their thoughts. Mine was the 75-yard touchdown run by Donovan Edwards, but I want to know yours. Comment below what your favorite play from this past Big Ten undefeated championship season was. After spring practice, J.J. McCarthy is no question your quarterback number one. It's probably one of the easier ones we'll talk about here on this list. But I think the surprise here is I believe that Jack Tuttle, the 6-year transfer from Indiana, has cemented himself slightly above Davis Warren as the quarterback 2. Now, Warren might actually get more reps because he potentially could be part of the future where Tuttle's just got this season. But I believe if a game came down to it where McCarthy couldn't play it and Michigan needed quarterback play to win a game, I think they would go to Tuttle over Davis Warren. I'm expecting a big season for J.J. McCarthy in 2023. You see his stats there on the left, 322 passing attempts. I think Michigan's going to bump that up, right? Projecting about 70 more passing attempts, 68 to be precise. So 4 to 5 more a game if they make it all the way to the national championship. 3,325 yards, about 600 yards jump from last year. I think he breaks the Michigan touchdown record, 31, 7 interceptions with the more passing. I think his yards per game will go up right around 25 to 30. Let me ask you, it's customer service month here at the company. How likely are you to recommend this show to a friend? If it's very high, give us a 9 or 10. That would help out, but we're going to score ourselves based on your results. How likely would you recommend this show to a friend who is a Michigan football fan? I think, of course. Anything less than an 8, though, I'd love to hear your feedback on what we could do better to earn your recommendation. I've always thought the best recommendations, hey, where should I go for dinner? What's the best this? Always comes from people you trust. So let me know what you guys think we could do better and give us a score 1 through 10. Running back depth chart. I'm jumping out here. I'm taking a swing. I don't know what to make some of the players. Michigan, Tavier Dunlap, CJ Stokes, what happened to him down the stretch? Isaiah Gash, I mean, no one ever heard of him before the Illinois game. It's tough to say. Corum and Edwards will be running back 1 and 2, 1A, 1B, no matter what. But I think Benjamin Hall, what we saw from him and the rave reviews that came out of the spring game and spring practice, I think by the time the season comes around, he will cement himself as the third running back in this rotation. CJ Stokes, the sophomore, takes a step back to 4th. The wild card there is Kalel Mullings. Some people are projecting him to be the third running back. Some people are projecting him to not even be in the rotation, maybe move back to linebacker eventually. I think Mullings will be part of the rotation, but I don't think truly, when I do depth charts, just like a quarterback, I kind of say to myself, if the two guys in front of him, one guy in front of him, the people in front of him in the depth chart, if they cannot play, who would Michigan go to when they needed to? I believe it would be Benjamin Hall, although you never know. Kalel Mullings might get more carries because Michigan might give him the ball inside the 5-yard line here or there, or those 3rd and 4th and 1 short yardage plays where he can kind of be like a battering ram for the running back position. Blake Corum was on pace for 1,700 yards before getting injured, missed the final 3 games of Michigan's season, really 3.5 games. So his 1,400 and some yards could have been 1,700, 1,800. But with the emergence of Donovan Edwards and the projected growth of the passing game for Michigan with McCarthy, will Corum be a 1,500-yard rusher this season? I'm putting that as the baseline number, right around where he was last year. Over or under 1,500 yards rushing for Blake Corum in this 2023 season. Let me know in the comments, O or U. If you guys haven't bought one yet, don't be the last guy in the block not wearing the Don shirt. I think it's one of my favorite shirts to wear right now. It's very comfortable. It's not a cheap shirt at all. I would say if you need an extra room around the waist or anything like that, get it with size large because it's like an athletic fitting shirt. It's tighter on the arms than probably a lot of t-shirts, but that's good if you're buff like me. I mean, look at those pythons. But get the Don shirt. We've got manufacturing in there, so we're not having any limited on orders for a while. We'll probably keep them going for sale for the next month. Pause for a while and bring them back in August. So get one before they go. Chatsports.com/Don7. Jack just put the link in the comment, the live chat. It's also down in the comments and the description of today's show. Tight end depth chart. I love what I heard, what I saw out of A.J. Barner, the transfer. Starting tight end at Indiana last year. Scored a touchdown in the spring game. You add that to the emergence of Colston Loveland against Ohio State, against Purdue. I think you've got a hell of a tight end duo right now for this next season, maybe even for 2 seasons, because Barner's got multiple years of eligibility. Luke Schoonmaker, he decided to go pro because of the emergence of Colson Loveland. Eric All decided to transfer to Iowa because maybe he thought Loveland would get more of the plays. Loveland will be a star tight end, maybe even be as good as Jake Butt, although I don't know if he'll get back-to-back All-American accolades like Butt did. But this group, Loveland and Barner, if Michigan struggles at the wide receiver position, which they may, outside of Johnson and Wilson, you could see both those guys in the field, and hell, potentially both of them split out as kind of like that big Rob Gronkowski-style tight end role for Michigan this season. I'm super excited about the tight end position. I don't know if Michigan's had a better 1-2 combo going into a season, projecting Colson Loveland and A.J. Barner where they will be. Wearing my blue pants today. I got the blue shirt on, so I'm kind of wearing a non-branded Michigan uniform. Got the blue pants on as well now, so since I've got them on, I'll ask you guys, do you like blue uniform pants for Michigan? They broke them out in the 2021 season with the All Blues against Washington. Had brought the All Blues several more times, of course, in the game against Georgia, the Ohio State game, several others in the 2022 season then, and had the blue road uniforms, which I actually really like. So do you guys like blue pants, or do you want Michigan to stick to the traditional maize, or hell, even the whites that they finally got a big win out of against Ohio State back in Columbus in November? Let me know. Type like or type no. Wide receiver, I think, could be the weakest position on the team as far as depth right now. The wide receiver group, no one really stood out this spring outside of the known commodities of Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson. Right? Wilson's best role is being that slot wide receiver. You've seen his ability to go deep against TCU and in other games. And Cornelius Johnson, I think those touchdowns against Ohio State were a huge confidence builder for him. And him and J.J. McCarthy have worked on that long passing game. But where the struggle is who's the third wide receiver, right? Everyone thought it was going to be Darius Clemens. Hasn't really happened. I've heard some rumors that he maybe had some nagging injuries that the coaches thought he could play through. Tyler Morris, the sophomore, former high school teammate of J.J. McCarthy from 3 years ago. Maybe it's him. Backups, Peyton O'Leary was the star of the spring game, but I don't think he's anything more than Michigan's maybe 5th or 6th best wide receiver, so you won't see a ton of play out of him. Darius Clemens, the backup, he'll go to his sophomore year. Christian Dixon, haven't really heard anything from him. He's obviously a transfer portal candidate going into, I think, his 3rd, maybe 4th year of Michigan at this point. And A.J. Henning won't ever be a starting wide receiver at Michigan, but everyone knows what they get from Henning. Punt returner, kick returner, does reverses and can catch passes here and there. How about Michigan's offensive line? Right? Maybe the deepest offensive line that we've seen out of this program ever, at least in the modern history of Michigan football, last 25, 30 years. They won back-to-back Joe Moore Awards for the best offensive line in college football. I love them. I love what they have coming back this year. I think they're too deep. The backup offensive line could be good enough to be a top 20, 25 offensive line in all of college football. You look back to the Ohio State game. Look at those 2 runs Donovan Edwards made, 75 yards, 85 yards. Now, clearly Edwards, bounced outside in the first one and just hit the crease in the second one right up the middle. But the blocking on the entire offensive line, most notably Olu Oluwatimi, who's obviously now gone, and Zach Zinter, were absolutely amazing. Those 2 guys alone on both those touchdown runs blocked 4 guys total, combined, 2 guys each. It's like they hit to the outside, they hit to the inside, and they kind of hit. It was really crazy outside. They came together, went out, and then shifted around. It was phenomenal blocking. They took up 4 defenders. The safeties and linebackers crashing down to fill those gaps got taken out by 2 offensive linemen who also were engaging on defensive linemen. It was absolute mastery by Sharon Moore, blocking schemes that broke off the 2 longest runs against Ohio State by a Michigan player in history, all in the final 7 minutes of the fourth quarter. The Don gets all the hype, baby, but that offensive line really deserves most of the credit for that fourth quarter performance by Michigan against Ohio State last year. Here's my depth chart. Ladarius Henderson, he's graduating from Arizona State in a matter of weeks, right? Late April, Jack, is when they're there. He is horns up. He's the Arizona State guy. Coming over, they're starting right tackle. He started 30-some games. He's coming over, going to be projected starting left tackle. Trevor Keegan, Drake Nugent from Stanford. Now, he didn't play in the spring game, so we didn't really get to see what he saw. Raheem Anderson filled in a couple different positions, but Anderson was recruited as a center, so I've got him as the backup center. Zach Zinter starting for his 3rd, maybe his 4th straight year. Actually, it'll be his 4th year starting for Zinter, as he will now be a 4th-year player Carson Barnhart, and then a boatload of experienced players in the backups. Miles Hinton, starter at Stanford last year. Giovanni El-Hadi started a handful of games from Michigan due to injury. Reese Atterbury, Raheem Anderson don't have much starting, if any, starting experience. And then Trente Jones was the game one starter last year, ultimately lost his job to poor performance and a little bit of injuries throughout the year. That offensive line, too deep, is absolutely stacked. I think they have at least 7 or 8 starters that they feel comfortable with. Obviously, you don't only need 5, but I do think that Michigan could get into some 6 offensive lineman sets when they need 2, 3, 4 yards in the running game. But will Michigan win the Joe Moore Award for the 3rd straight year? Give me a Y for yes or N for no. Tough to say. Sometimes voters will just vote against someone, so they don't kind of like, same team, same school winning it. I thought that would happen to Michigan last year. Michigan doesn't deserve it 2 years in a row. They did, so maybe they can. I'm going to say no just because of that. It's very tough to win an award 3 straight years in anything, but let me know what you guys think. Give me a Y or an N. Recap of the depth chart really quickly for you guys. J.J. McCarthy, Jack Tuttle, and Davis Warren are your top 3 quarterbacks. Of course, Alex Orji will shake in there as well. Over to the running back position. The best 1-2 combo in the country, Donovan Edwards and Blake Corum. True freshman Benjamin Hall, 3rd, and CJ Stokes. Kalel Mullings could get in there as well. We'll see how he is utilized once the season starts. Tight ends. I think Michigan's got 2 starting level tight ends in A.J. Barner and sophomore Colson Loveland. Matthew Hibner, he can catch the ball. Max Bredesen was in there more as like an H-back, blocking a lot. Didn't get involved a ton in the passing game, but I've got him as my tight end 4. Wide receiver, Michigan still needs one more proven wide receiver outside of Cornelius Johnson and Roman Wilson. I've got Tyler Morris as the starter there, but Darius Clemens, hell, maybe even Peyton O'Leary will put their hat in the ring as Michigan gets to fall camp in August. On the offensive line side, Ladarius Henderson, Trevor Keegan, Drake Nugent, Zach Zinter, and Carson Barnhart, 3 returning starters from Michigan's line last year in that starting group, and then 2 starters from the Pac-12 in Henderson and Nugent, with a few starters. Trente Jones and Giovanni El-Hadi started a handful of games for Michigan last year. Miles Hinton was a starting tackle for Stanford last season. Let me know what you guys think of my offensive depth chart, A, B, C, or DEF. A, B, C, D, or F. Grade me on accuracy of where you think, hey, this is where I think it'll be or where it should be in the fall, and versus what I have put out here as we are still 4 months out from Michigan get started in the 2023 season.